you will notice that we are using the word case management a lot as opposed to case manager. The reason we are going to be using this is because we know that your institutions and your programs may not have necessarily the capacity to designate someone as a case manager because of resource constraints. However, it is encouraged in this curriculum that we make every effort to ensure that in our programs, we have designated someone or persons that do the functions of case management. So you will notice we are not talking about functions of a case manager. We are going to be talking about functions of case management. That's to say, you may decide in your organization to delegate it to any one of your many staff to take it up, or you might decide that the primary counselor can also be the case manager. So it's really up to you in your program to look at what is realistic. And I think that for me is very empowering because some of us may not have the resources to really designate a case manager. But the challenge is we must ensure those functions are being carried out. Okay, so much about that. Now, here is an interesting exercise that you should do when you teach your course face-to-face. Should ask people to gather together and you have a ball and you throw the ball across the different places, which just shows you how spread out the services that our clients seek are. So in place of this, I'm going to ask you a question. Can you reflect on your program? What are some of the different services that you refer your clients to? What are the different services that you refer your clients to? Anybody can share with us from your program experience. What are some of the services you refer your clients to? Fatima?
Yes, I refer my clients to the psychiatric hospitals.
You refer them to the psychiatric hospital. Very well. Thank you very much, Fatima. And you can record those points as the participants share them. Another person, you can share services that you refer your clients to. Yes, Eugene?
Yeah, we tend to refer them after they go through the rehab to halfway homes.
So
and sometimes, yeah, and sometimes if there are vocational training centers too.
Vocational training centers, very good. Any other person? Thank you, Eugene. What services do you refer your clients to that they require? Or maybe you would like to refer them to, but you don't because they are not available. You can share whichever. Any other person? You can also type in your chat. If you're not able to pick the icon for raising your hand, you can actually do that. Yes, I can see someone has typed occupational therapy. Okay, as another service that they refer their clients to. Thank you. Now, those are 4 examples of services that we actually send our clients to. My question is, I want you to reflect on your program and ask yourselves, imagine, let us pick these 4 services that we have been given. We want to refer our client to the psychiatrist. We want to refer our client to a vocational training. Want to refer our client for occupational therapy. Want to refer our client to a halfway house. And imagine that those facilities and services are not available in your treatment program, and you have got to send your client from one to the other, back and forth. So you send them to the psychiatrist, you have to wait. Then you send them to the vocational center, and then you wait, and then you send them to the occupational therapist, and so on and so forth. Now, what you notice is that these services can be extremely fragmented. Fragmented means they are scattered in different places. What do you think are some of the disadvantages of having to send clients to fragmented services? Yes, what do you think are the disadvantages? Anybody can suggest to us. Yes, Fatima?
There will be no coordination.
So there is no coordination. The client goes, yes? Yes. Thank you. Then we have Dionica. Yes, Dionica, I saw your hand was raised. Dionica, did I see your hand was raised? Okay, anybody else? What challenges do you see when you have to send your clients to services that are everywhere?
Okay, you can lose the client in transit.
Thank you. You can actually have your client getting lost in transit. They fall through the cracks. Thank you very much. That was Michael, right?
Njanuka.
Dionuka, thank you. You speak a lot like Michael. Thank you. And I hope Michael managed to get in, by the way. Thank you for that. Anybody else that has another problem with having to send our clients across these services?
The client may be tired too of going up and down.
Absolutely. The client may get tired and give up. Of course, the client may also go to the places you've referred them to and find that those places closed down. The client may go there and not be received well and give up. These are all the challenges of having what we call fragmented services. So when we think about our clients and the services they require, many times they don't access them because they are probably fragmented. Sometimes they're not available within our programs, they are everywhere else. And if we also get tired of making referrals, even clients get tired of accessing them. So the whole idea of case management is actually to try and reduce that fragmentation. That's why when you look at this picture here, you see an example of fragmentation. There is a piece here. This piece, the red one might be the psychiatric service. The blue one might be the occupational therapy. You might have another green one here for the vocational. You might have another yellow one here for family therapy. You might have another one here for the physician. Remember the co-occurring medical disorders. So all these pieces are so fragmented that the client sometimes gets lost in between the different services that you're referring them to. And therefore, when we think about case management, we are trying to think of how to bring all these pieces together, all right, like a puzzle, bring them together so that the client accesses them with a lot of ease. That is what case management is all about. So I hope, and when you have again your face-to-face, you will be able to practice very nice activities here where you literally role play, where different participants are different service providers. They're in different parts of the area you stay in or the town you live in, and the client is trying to access them. They're trying to telephone some of them. They find that the numbers even changed where you referred them. Others find that the service provider changed the service and started offering a different service. Others simply closed down. So all these are challenges of fragmentation of services our clients need. And therefore, case management is all about trying to pull all these pieces and put them together into what we call a single point of contact for our clients. So this is a part of that activity. We will not be able to do it, but you will do it when you think about your programs. So now, as a final thought for this module 1, introduction, can you write your thoughts about fragmented and coordinated services in your program? Just a final thought. Yeah, you can write down what you think about the fragmentation and coordination of services in your treatment programs. So just finalize with that as we open our next module. So please type in the chat or you raise your hand and we can get to see what happens in your program in terms of fragmentation as we transition to module 2. So any thoughts, any chats? Anybody who has chatted what their thoughts are? Yes, I see someone has said clients may be reluctant to go because of the fear of the unknown. And Alero says it can be more expensive in the long run for the client. Any other? So those are some of your thoughts. And I want you to think about that as we go through this curriculum of UTC 6, which is case management, because then you will understand the gist of this course. So now we go to module 2. Module 2 is an overview of case management. So we want to understand a little more what case management is about. And so I hope you can see the new slide. Jessica?
Yes, I can see the module 2 slides.
Very well. So in module 2, we have the following learning objectives. We want you to be able to provide your own definition of case management. We want you to be able to give at least 3 reasons for using case management. And you notice we are not talking about case manager, we are talking about the functions of case management. Then you should be able to list at least 8 principles of case management and also describe 5 functions of case management. So it's now time to do a small assignment. Take up your journal. Please write a definition of case management. What is case management to you? So you can do that. You can write a small definition and we can share our thoughts about what case management is. So you may type in the chat. You may raise your hand. Yes, anybody? You can type in the chat. What are your thoughts about what case management is in terms of its meaning or its definition? You may also raise your hand. Yes. So I see one definition here, that it is the integration of all the services we provide to give holistic care to our clients. Beautiful. And that reminds us that one of the principles of treatment, that services need to be holistic. Another one says it is the continual following up of treatment process and plan. Thank you very much. Another one says it's putting together all pieces of services for proper follow-up to help the client. Thank you. So we are all picking it, that it's all about wrapping it all together, putting it all together so that the client has what we call a single point of contact. So thank you for your input and your feedback. Now we go next to what case management is. And this slide is telling us, which is really from the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment, that case management is about assessing the client and the client's family. And when appropriate, arrange, coordinate, monitor, evaluate, and advocate for a package of multiple services to meet the specific client's complex needs. Let's think a little about that definition. What strikes you about this definition of case management? Welcome, Michael. We are happy you're back. So can you tell me what strikes you from this definition? Yes. You can pick any one of these things that strikes you about this definition. Yes, I can see that someone is typing in something. Let me see what it is. Someone says continuum of care to achieve seamless recovery process. Okay. So what strikes you in this definition of case management? Yes, Alero says the word advocacy strikes her. Now, Alero, why does advocacy strike you? Tell us what struck you about advocacy.
Okay, it shows that it's not about just providing services for the patient. What are the other things you're going to put in place to ensure that they have a useful life by the time they're done with your treatment or while they're doing your treatment, to ensure to be the voice to speak for them? Thank
you. Excellent. So we're not just going to refer them. We're not just going to coordinate. We are not just going to monitor and evaluate. Many times we have to speak for them. Remember, persons with SUD are rather marginalized in society. We talked about stigma. We talked about discrimination. So when we talk about advocacy, we are saying we're going to be the voice that speaks on their behalf. You're going to be the voice that speaks on behalf of your client to the employer to be given a chance to get back to work. You're going to be the voice on behalf of your client who's a student to be given a chance to go back to school. You're the voice that's going to get a chance for your client to get time to go out for treatment. You're the voice. That is advocacy. Thank you very much. All right. Someone else? Yes? Who's speaking?
Yes. Dionuka.
Please say your name.
Dionuka.
Dionuka, yes, please, Dionuka.
Yeah. Okay, what strikes me here is the client's family.
The client's family. Thank you. How come it strikes you? Explain to us, yes.
Yeah, we found that addiction is a family problem. So when we have a client, we're not looking at only the client, but also to the family to know why we are having the client and how we can help even after our treatment, so that the client goes back to the family without much difficulties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You remember in curriculum 2, we said it's important to involve the family. So sometimes when you do your assessment, you might discover that the client's family has a lot of needs that need to be addressed. So you can actually organize for those needs. You can coordinate, you can monitor, you can evaluate, you can advocate for the family. So that's very powerful. So we must think beyond the client and the family, that our client is part of the family system. And we know that their recovery will succeed if the client's family is also in part of the recovery. Thank you very much, Dionica. Any other observation about this definition from any one of us? Okay, we will share a little more later, but please keep in mind all these functions. And I like the fact that you've articulated that we are bringing in the family and all the functions, including advocacy. So let us think about the difference between case management and direct counseling services. Many times we confuse counseling services with case management, and this slide is explaining to us the difference. That case management focuses on those resources that are outside of the client to mobilize them for our client. Direct counseling is around mobilizing the client's internal issues to be able to address the issues the client has from the internal perspective. So when we are working with the client to build their resilience, to build their self-efficacy, to build their optimism, to build their sense of feeling competent and confident, we are working on counseling. When we begin thinking of who can we connect the client to, so that beyond our treatment services, they have a support system, they have a recovery capital, then we are thinking of case management. So case management focuses more on the external resources. Counseling focuses more on the internal resources and internal issues of the client. Now, the other thing we need to also keep in mind is that when we think of case management, we can have intra-program and we can also have inter-program. Intra means within the organization. Inter means across from one organization to the other. And therefore, we can sometimes be very lucky to have one of those programs that has a variety of services within our program. I have one good example of one of the government facilities in our country, which has a treatment for SUD center. It has got psychiatric services within it. It has got other services that offer care for medical conditions like HIV/AIDS, dental issues. So it has a variety of services, occupational therapy. And so when we help our clients to transition from one of the services to the other within the same organization, for example, they're coming from seeing the SUD counselor to seeing the psychiatrist, to seeing the occupational therapist, to seeing the dentist, to going to the HIV testing and care center. Within our own program, we call that intra-program. But if, on the other hand, there are services we don't have, and we have to rely on other service providers outside our program, then as we facilitate the client to reach those services outside our own program, we say we are doing inter-program case management. So that is the difference between the two. Now, why is case management important? A couple of reasons. One is that it enhances client engagement and motivation. Remember, we said that sometimes clients, especially in early recovery, have very little motivation and energy to pursue their own recovery. Why? Because of the level of motivation being low, because of ambivalence. Remember, many of them are just, in the stage of pre-contemplation, or they have just moved from pre-contemplation to contemplation. So their level of engagement, their level of motivation is low. So when we do case management, we are kind of we're pushing them. We're giving a little push that you need when you're starting the car so that it gets momentum. So that is important for us to use case management. The second reason is to ensure that they get the appropriate SUD treatment services. The client may not know where these services are. If we refer them and they drop out, then we haven't succeeded in ensuring they get the appropriate services. So by doing case management, we will ensure that they have got all the support services that they need. We also help to build their recovery capital. Remember, we said that clients on their own may not necessarily be able to manage their recovery. They require that we mobilize the recovery capital to help them manage the many practical issues that are surrounding their lives. And therefore, we think about the personal recovery capital, we think about the family and social recovery capital, we think about community and even cultural recovery capital. Now, we also need case management to coordinate services, like someone has already said, and to prevent the fragmentation among the different departments and levels of care. Sometimes it is levels of care. For example, the client is living a residential treatment center, full-time. They need to go to a halfway house and eventually to an outpatient center. How do we help them transition across those three levels of care? We need case management. Other times it's to ensure smooth movement through the continuum of care. I mean, let's remember what we said. Continuum of care begins all the way from pre-treatment to treatment to continuing care. So when we help the client move, for example, from pre-treatment where we meet them at outreach and do screening and then assessment and realize they need to get into primary care. And then from primary care, we need to move them into continuing care. When we are helping them through that process, then we're ensuring smooth movement through the continuum of care. Then by so doing, we remove the various treatment barriers or reduce them because sometimes we cannot remove them. And that gets it easier for the client. Now, this slide just reminds us again what recovery capital is. Let us always remember it is the breadth, the depth of internal and external resources that we can draw upon to initiate and sustain recovery. So they are deep and they are wide, and we must mobilize them for the sake of our client. And they are internal and they are external. Please remember the three levels, the personal, and personal had physical and human. Can someone tell us what was physical recovery capital? And another one tell us what was human recovery capital? Yes, what is personal? What is physical personal recovery capital? What is human personal recovery capital? Yes, anybody raise your hand or type in the chat? A quick one. Yes, anybody who's raised their hand? Yes, anybody? What was physical? Yes, yes. Alero wants to define physical. Yes, Alero.
Accommodation was
Give an
physical.
example. Yes.
Accommodation.
Accommodation is an example of physical personal recovery capital. Very good. Or shelter. So if I have, if my client has got shelter, if my client has got housing, that's a physical personal recovery capital. Thank you very much. An example of human personal recovery capital.
Human recovery capital are the immediate family members, co-workers of the recovering clients.
Okay, so do you think that is a personal recovery capital, or is that family recovery capital, family and social, the second one?
I thought those are human recovery capital.
Thank you for trying, Fatima. Thank you. But when we talk about family, then we are going to the second category, the client's family, the client's peers, the client's friends, the client's co-workers, the client's neighbors. Those ones fall in the second category. But personal recovery capital is what basically is the client has, what the client possesses. If the things the client possesses are physical, then we call them the physical personal recovery capital. If they are not physical, they are not tangible, they are more of internal resources, we call them human. Alero, you want to give an example of human recovery capital?
Yes, example of human, the person's job, the person's personality.
Yeah, very good.
Skills.
Thank you. So those things that belong to the person, but they're not necessarily tangible. They're not they're not necessarily physical. Someone has given another good example. Purpose in life. Having some goals. That is human personal recovery capital, as opposed to the material things that the client has. which we were calling the physical recovery capital. The client's family, the client's social contacts, the client's support in the neighborhood, in their church or their religious places, that's the family and social. And community and cultural, we said, it is the systems that are within their community, whether it's the AA meetings and support groups, whether it is the recovery houses and anything that is within the community that supports recovery. It could also be the policies of the community or of the country. All that is part of it. So that's the third category. So that we need to think about when we are thinking about case management. So part of what you do with the recovery capital, you do community outreach, you assess and focus the client on the client's strengths, you do appropriate referrals, and you remember to do both professional and client-directed treatment and recovery plans. That's very important. Let's not dictate to the client what we need to do. So now for your assignment, please make sure you write down 2 important reasons for case management and reflect about them as you move along this course. So I'm now going to ask Moses to take it up from there and take us through the next phase. Thank you very much. Moses, I'll stop sharing just now. Okay, Moses, please take it up. Moses, are you here?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me share mine.
Great. We can see it, Moses. It looks good.
Can you see it? Anything?
Oh, it just went away. Maybe turn off your video. I think it was better when you had it off.
Okay.
And now try sharing screen again.
All right.
All right, I can see it again.
Okay, you can see it now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Beatrice, for that foundation you've given us about case management. Now we're going to talk about the principles of case management. These are the principles of case management. One is single point of contact. You want to have one person, to be able to coordinate the services for the client. Because if you don't have one, there might be confusion, and you might not be working, together for the client, and then the client might get disinterested and might not be carried along the way you want him or her, to come along, and may lose interest or become even demotivated about the whole treatment plan. So if you have a single person who coordinates the case management for a client, then it's better. And that helps build relationship, build trust, and also build some form of a therapeutic alliance, some sort. And then it's client driven. All along we keep talking about client center. It's client driven. You don't begin to impose services on the client. The client has to show interest and tell you what he wants from his objectives and his goals. Then you are able to work, to coordinate the treatment plan to ensure that he gets the best out of it and is able to meet their objective. So it's client driven. Everything is about the client. We're working for the client, and everyone in the treatment setting is working towards one goal. And the advocacy Beatrice has dwelt on that. As therapists of various sorts, we have to advocate for our clients in many ways, maybe at home, with the employers, maybe with the community, the law enforcement agents, and maybe government policies that might not be favorable. We keep advocating for them. And that is the work of the case manager does that. But the advocacy is not limited to only the case manager. Anytime you have opportunity to advocate for clients, you do that. That is what our work entails. And it's community-based, based in the community. You do it within the environment you find yourself, so that it will be easier for you to coordinate and for the client to access those services. The community tries to provide it for all the clients. Some treatment settings are lucky to have most of what they want, but it's difficult to have a treatment setting that has everything. So, but if you have the office of a case manager or the position of a case manager in your setting, then it makes the work easier. So you can have either the intra or extra care that Beatrice, spoke about earlier. So it's very important for us to abide by this and ensure that we make things easier for the patient to move seamlessly from one service to the other and be able to coordinate all the services. You may not understand this or you may not appreciate it, but if you're able to put yourself in the shoes of the client and you have to move from one place to the other, then you know what it means. Those of us who work in tertiary referral centers, you know what it means when you go to teaching hospital to move from one department to the other. It can be something that can be very tiring, can be discouraging, and you get, in fact, the mere thought of it makes your heart, skip a bit. So it's easier when you have a case manager. In our setting, we have the position of case manager. I'll have 2 or 3 people who are working as case managers to be able to help us coordinate services for our clients. And it's interesting. Everyone was serving as a case manager, but after the UTC training, we decided to create that position, and it makes our services to work well and better. We continue with the principles. Must be pragmatic and practical. It's not something that is just aspirational. It must be something that you're able to meet the need at that time for the clients. And you meet it based on their goals, what they want, and their level of motivation and the needs they have. Another way to look at it is sometimes you look at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know where the client belongs at any stage, and you meet those needs that are necessary and are immediate before you move up. And it's not something that you begin to think of providing what you don't really have the resources to provide. That will not help the client in this journey of recovery. And the anticipatory, yes, there might be obstacles, there might be problems, might be difficulties along the way, hurdles to cross. You should be able to anticipate. Before you get there, be proactive and help, the client so they don't get stuck in the process of trying to provide services, for your clients. And it must be flexible. Don't have to be rigid. And in everything about treatment, the treatment plan has to be a flexible one. You keep revising it based on the information, the needs, and the stage of change of the client. And sometimes you get information, even the assessment is not something that you do one-off. You assess, and then after some time you get more information to add it to your assessment, get to know the client better, and you keep adjusting and making things flexible, for the clients. So if you try one and it's not working, then you try another one. so they don't just get stuck and then the client gets discouraged or demotivated in the treatment program. It must be culturally sensitive. You have to practice in the context of your culture or the culture you find yourself. If you try to bring some ideas to your own practice where they are not culturally sensitive or in tune with the culture which you practice, you might find that you will not be making progress. And for those of us who practice in our countries in Africa, discover that you have to be very sensitive to the culture in which you operate. And you know that there are generational differences between the clients and even their parents or guardians who sponsor the treatment. Some of them are living in traditional Africans, but the younger ones, while they are just like global citizens, they say the world is a global village, and they think just like every other person is thinking. But their parents might be very rigid, and they are the ones who provide the resources because it's out-of-pocket payment in our own environment. So you tread softly and try to balance these things and ensure that whatever services you are providing are accessible to the customer. For instance, in some places you even want to provide opioid substance therapy, like methadone. Some parents will tell you, not for my own ward, not for my own child, because you can't use another drug to make my own ward or my own child addicted to that substance. God forbid, it's not going to happen. So you have to be able to talk to them and convince them and using evidence to show them that this one is better if they cannot abstain. So there are many challenges for those of us who practice in this part of the world. There are many challenges. Sometimes you even try, when you are trying to build self-efficacy, help the client to develop self-efficacy. Some parents or guardians may protest that you're encouraging the client to disrespect them, or when they become assertive, you are making them, you're encouraging them to indulge in what they are doing. They didn't behave that way to, their own parents or in their own community, and that their child or their ward must do it the way they did. So you have to balance so many things when you are, practicing, so that you don't lose your client, and at the same time, you don't lose whoever is sponsoring the client. But you try to keep the two together because they form, sources of recovery capital for their for the client too. So you must be culturally sensitive. And where some people say that they need prayers, they want someone to pray for them. Say, no, I don't believe in prayer. I can't say that. You have to get whoever will give you that spiritual attention to be able to provide for them, because they believe that it helps them and they cannot do without that. So there are many things that you have to take into consideration when you are doing case management. Single point of contact promotes coordination. Yes. Once you have a single point, it's easier for you to coordinate because you have all the facts and everything available, at your disposal. You know where you came from, where you are now, where you are going. So it helps you, and then you would have had so much contact with the client and even understand the client very well to know how to navigate between, among the various service providers to ensure that your client gets the best, out of it. And as I said, it moves seamlessly from one service to the other. And it's even more desirable if you have to go outside the treatment setting to purchase services for your client in different settings. So it's a little bit difficult if you don't have a single point of contact to be able to, to coordinate such services, and ensures continuity, so that you know that you've started with a client, you're not yet through with the client, and there shouldn't be a break, and you're able to purchase all the services that the client needs to be able to attain, their goal, and that helps, and then provides the client an anchor. The case manager serves like an anchor, and a big, a great source of support for the client to be able to continue in this journey of recovery, because it's not easy for them to navigate, between services or among services. So, single point of contact is actually something that is desirable. We said it earlier, client-driven. You must respond to clients' needs, not your own needs, not your own ideas, so that the client will be motivated, to continue in this journey of recovery, and identifies and clarifies options. Yes, the client should not be placed in a straitjacket. There must be options available, and you clarify them and let them have the luxury to make choices, informed choices about what they want and where they are headed. That helps them, and also helps them to know that they have some degree of control too, autonomy, and respect, because they make the choices, and not that the choices are imposed on them. Help client obtain services. Yes, if it's client driven, then they are more motivated, to obtain the services that they have chosen for themselves. So always ensure that it is client driven. Sometimes they may come with some funny ideas that you might think that are not appropriate for them, but you have to negotiate with them and help them, give them enough information and clarification so that they make the choices. If they insist on what they want to do and that's the best, if you dissuade them from doing that, they may lose interest. So we need to keep in mind that we are all working together for the client, not for ourselves. Advocacy. Advocacy promotes clients' best interests. If you practice in an environment where there's so much stigma, towards SUDs, and then people become so judgmental about them, and even the government doesn't have good or favorable policy towards them, you have to advocate and do so many things, for your client. That helps and encourages them, and they feel loved. It gives them some sense of hope that you can advocate for them. Sometimes they drop out of school and they want to go back, but it's really hard for them to go back. But when you are able to do that, you write letters, you go and appeal to authorities to take them back, either get them back to school or to get them back on the job, and several other things. They feel happy and they actually appreciate it because they know that on their own they'll be discouraged. It's difficult. And when they talk, nobody even takes it seriously most times. But when you are there advocating for them, it helps. And sometimes they even ask you to come and clarify. You wrote this for this client. Are you sure he can do that? If he comes and then there are problems, you are going to hold you responsible. I've had that, personally. I write some things for clients. I go advocate for them and try to get them back to work. They say, well, if there are problems, I'm going to hold you responsible. So many things, but we are there for them. And communicates with other systems. Yes, you must be able to communicate clearly with other systems. When we started, it was difficult, to get services and to be able to advocate for clients. But now it's easier, and then we get even we get referral from the criminal justice system, giving our clients options either to come to treatment or they go to the correctional services. And before then, it wasn't so. They were just seen like deviants and criminals that nobody should even treat them with respect or whatever. But now they have the opportunity to be able to choose where they want to go. And I've had clients who hitherto didn't actually want to come for treatment, and they came and then decided to discharge themselves, against advice from their therapists. They went, but they ran into trouble, and then they started calling, please call Dr. So call us with my therapist. I have been in rehab before. I have done this before, so that the law can be, at least lenient to them. So sometimes you need to do that. And I've gone to police station most times to actually help bail clients or to get them from detention, to treatment. I have been there before for several clients, and it is good to advocate for clients. And when we do that, we're also promoting our services, and the clients are treated with some respect, and dignity as humans, and speaks out on behalf of clients. We must speak out, on behalf of clients. I get a lot of problems, and most of the therapists too, we run into problems like in our setting, because when you speak for clients, you run into problem with authorities, you run into problem with families, and so many other people. People just think that they are there to be disciplined. They don't deserve the kind of treatment you are giving them. You are treating them in a nice way and making them, in fact, you are indulging them in this behavior. But sometimes you speak for them, and it takes some time for them to actually come to terms with whatever is happening, and that these people can change and can be integrated, the society again. So I don't know, can anyone tell us how, for the participants, I want to hear from you, what sort of advocacy you do in your places of work? Maybe one or two people, please.
Can I say something, Moses?
Yes, please, Prof, go ahead.
Yes, one thing I've done is in my university, when somebody is caught with using cannabis, our response is the student is suspended 2 years for 2 years. So I've made a position in the Senate that to amend that position, and the Senate has asked me to produce a position paper to that for documentation and approval. And that is
that's great.
Be the position immediately the system returns to normal.
That's great, Prof. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone want to contribute?
I think Alero had her hand raised briefly.
Please, yes, can I hear from him?
Okay, the
yes,
kind
please
of
go ahead.
advocacy we do,
yes,
we have to speak on behalf of students. Sometimes they have to miss exams because we had to refer them. They've gone for services outside of the university. They've missed exams. So we need to write, and we need to prove that it was really because they were ill. That's why they couldn't do their exams. There are times when we've had to go and look for some parents that have disowned the children to say, I don't have anything to do with him. He's no longer my child. And it's not something he wants to do on his own. It's because he's ill. We've had to bring them back to their family. These are some of the things we do.
Oh, thank you very much for your contribution. In fact, I've had to, advocate for even our hospital staff, like in our teaching hospital, some hospital staff who, had problems of substance use disorders and with some co-occurring disorders, we are to be actually dismissed from work because of their behavior. But I was made part of the medical board, and I had to advocate for them that they are ill just like every other person. And it was, tough trying to convince authorities that they needed to be treated, But after that, it became a policy, to treat those who suffer from substance disorders. So they always refer them to me, and because management says, look, we find it difficult to cope with this kind of people. We don't even need them in the system, but you said no, that you can handle it. So advise us on what to do. So now they allow them to go and treat. And for students, particularly in the private universities in Nigeria, initially, they were actually expelled, just like Professor Ezenwa said. They will expel them or suspend them, give them 1 year suspension. So I had to actually meet with some presidents or vice chancellors of some universities, and I spoke to them. Some of them were my teachers. I spoke to them. I said, no, these people are young people, and it's an illness. They can be treated, and then they will get back. If you expel them or give them 1 year suspension, not because they have any criminal activity, behavior, you will just ruin their career and destroy them. So after I made that advocacy, in fact, a lot of the private universities actually decided that, okay, if they had a drug problem, they asked them, they converted it to what they call therapeutic suspension. Go and treat yourself. When you treat yourself, come with a report from the treatment center, and they will take you back. And that's what has been happening. It wasn't easy. A lot of students were actually expelled from the universities because of drug use. So we have to do that. Community-based, it helps clients obtain local services. And it's something that we can actually take advocacy to our communities, particularly community gatekeepers. We do that when we go for outreaches, and then we're able to meet some of them and talk to them that these clients need to be helped. It is an illness that you can treat just like any other physical illness, and you can help them to get back on their feet in the society and also contribute their own quota to the development of their community. So you can help, and we talk to also churches and non-governmental organizations who have been able to help in this area to provide services for those who abuse substances and ensure smooth transition to the new program or next level of care. Yes, it must. When you do case management, it ensures smooth transition to the new program or next level of care for our clients and focus on specific client or the community at large. So these things, the clients belong to the community. When they leave the treatment setting, they are going to the wider community, and they must be able to fit in and also contribute, their own quota to the development of the community. So it is the onus is on us to be able to assist and to advocate for them. Many people actually have used substances and they have suffered very adverse consequences. Some of them lost their jobs. But with the advocacy now, I think the society or the community at large is a little bit lenient to them, and they see it as a form of illness, and they're able to support them in treatment. With the pragmatic set priorities, you must set priorities and resolve specific immediate issues. Yes, issues that are immediate and of concern to the client must be attended to, so that the client will know that actually we are sensitive to their own needs and their feelings, and maintains long-term focus. It helps them also to maintain a long-term focus, so that even when they leave the treatment setting and go out there, they are able to focus on their own goal, on what they want to achieve. So we must be pragmatic. It shouldn't be just something that is just aspirational, and we tend to overlook what their immediate needs and priorities are, and they impose on them our own priorities. That will not work. And clients are treated individually. The saying says it's not one shoe that fits all. So we must tailor our treatment program and case management to suit our clients. Anticipatory, yes, understands natural cause of SUDs. You can see this man here with his binoculars, looking to the future, and foresees and addresses problems. You must know and research problems that the client is likely to encounter, and then work and prepare the clients to be able to overcome such hurdles in life, and works with the treatment team. Yes, you don't work independent of the treatment team. No, you work with the treatment team. Everyone's working for the client, and it helps. When we started, actually, we didn't really advertise our treatment facility much. In fact, it took us almost 2 years to be able to put on a sample, but we got a lot of referrals from our former clients who are in recovery, who went and tried to inform people that there's a treatment center here. You can come to it, and it actually has, especially when they benefit from it. They tell you that I have my friend, I have a colleague, I'm going to ask him to come. My idea about treatment and rehabilitation was something I thought we are coming to be disciplined. Maybe they put us in chain and treat us like criminals, whatever. But my idea about rehabilitation has changed, and I'm happy. I'm going to ask my friends who are struggling with substance disorders to come for treatment. Must be flexible, as I said, but adapt to individuals' needs, identify suitable community resources, and reevaluate when necessary. To keep reevaluating the program, we keep reassessing, reevaluating, so that we make things, better for the client. As I said earlier, culturally sensitive. The cultural orientation of the client is very important, and we must make culturally appropriate referrals. I tell you, in my own setting, that there are parents or guardians or sponsors who will say no to anything to do with therapy. They said no. And if you want to go ahead, I'm not going to pay for it. Confidentiality. In communication with other programs, you must try to maintain confidentiality, let the client know what is likely, information are likely to divulge to the other programs, and you agree on what is to be done. Even when I write referrals, I read it out to them. We read it together. Are you okay with it, or is there anything you want me to change? What information do you want me to give? And then the reader say, yes, it's good. I'm happy. Sometimes they say, no, you're my doctor. Please, anything right is okay. I'm sure you have my interest at heart. I said no, but I want you to also go through it and see if it's okay for you, and that actually helps. And in communication with others in the class, like in family, there are things that the client may not want you to actually disclose. So you have to be very careful, and especially if maybe they're even minors or whatever. And then friends and employers. So you have to agree with the client and let him know also the limits of this confidentiality. Know and follow confidentiality laws and regulations in your own country or in your institution where you practice. That's why in a treatment center, is not a place that people just come in and visit anyhow or walk in and walk out anyhow. No, we make it very strict, even for you to come and visit. Why are you coming to visit? Who do you know? Are you? Does the person expect you? Or you apply for it and come, but you don't just walk in and walk out just like every other a hospital setting. We don't, and then we make sure that every information is properly kept so that not everyone in the treatment setting will have access to the information. And as I said, for us in this part of the world, standards which we continue to review with every staff and the facility, whether it's or whatever it is, or a security man. The issue of confidentiality is really very important, and this is the reason why you must keep every information confidential, and that's why we're here for the client. If you don't do that, you will not get people coming here for treatment, and they might be liable if they sue you. So let people know why the information has to be confidential, and then you can now actually earn the trust of your own clients in the setting. Case management function, assessment. Assessment is key. We just finished course 5, which has to do with, we had the assessment there, especially using the ASI. You know how rigorous it is, to do assessment. If you don't assess, you don't know your clients, and you cannot begin to cancel when you don't really know your clients. So assessment is very important, and you keep reviewing it and getting more information about your client. Sometimes, in fact, you may find that somebody who calls the ASI may not even get the information that maybe the psychiatrist will get or some other therapist will get, because sometimes they don't give you all the information that you need. They are economical, with some of them because they're not sure, they don't trust you. But for the one that they are really confident that he will be able, with confidential and they trust, there was much more information to that person, which will help you also to review your ASI. It happens that so you keep getting information from time to time as they earn, you earn their trust, then they'll continue to reveal more to you that you will need in planning for their treatment. And then treatment planning, you don't just sit down and collect information for no reason. There's a reason, because you want to know the client, you want to plan, and you want to know what his priorities, what his basic needs are, where he's having challenges, and what his recovery capital is. I need all this to be able to plan. And when you plan the treatment, you plan with the client. You plan. Most times they come, oh, I've paid 1 month. When am I going to be discharged? Then they say, oh, well, you had a treatment plan with your counselor or with your therapist. I don't know. Don't you have a copy? I have a copy. Okay. What have you done so far? Then they say, okay, yeah, I know. I still have some issues, to tackle before I go. So it's very key that you plan, with the client, and then link with services that you don't provide, so that they can access them to help them, in their recovery journey. Linkage is very, very key. We, in our own state, is a peculiar one. We do many things, because of resource constraint. We run inpatient, and we use the same facility to, have a program for outpatients, and then we have some form of educational program for our clients. Some of them are able to do online studies like the Open University of Nigeria. They're able to register and do their courses, from the treatment setting. And at the same time, they get to a level where they think they are confident they can go and come out. They go for lectures and come back, and go for vocational training and come back to the setting until they say, I'm confident now, I can go now, then you discharge. So we have criteria for doing many things, and we use the same facility for many things because we are resource constrained, and that has helped us, to work. Many clients come to the center because they feel that we are so flexible and we're able to provide resources that they need. So that's how the system runs here because of the constraint of our resources. Then you must be able to do monitoring. You have to monitor your services, evaluate, and know whether you are actually doing what you claim to be doing, and whether everybody is working in tandem with other person, and nobody is working at cross purposes, with what you plan for the client. And so you have to monitor that everyone is doing what they are doing, and evaluate your services and ensure that the client is getting what he needs, and without monitoring, you wouldn't really know whether you're doing well or not, and evaluating your services. And sometimes the clients might not be happy, but if you don't monitor and talk to them, you might not even get that kind of feedback. Advocacy is very key. We've said so much about advocacy, and it's actually very, very important in treatment setting. And I think those of us who are in the mental health field or substance use disorder, we are the ones that do a lot of advocacy because nobody wants, the society is scared of our clients. They don't like our clients, and they see them as deviants, as bad people. That my people will say they are just criminals. Sometimes they ask me, all the medical disciplines, you didn't know where to go to, and then you wasted your time going to look after this drug addicts. You go to correctional center. Is that what you want to be doing in your life? Or do you have tendencies, to become a drug addict or even criminal activities? Sometimes, they can be very, very sarcastic when they make such things. So if they do that to those of us who are professionals, how much more would they do that to clients? Assessment is the foundation for treatment planning, establishing a baseline for measuring a client's progress and prioritizing a client's needs. Don't have to be labeled that. And elements of assessment, current and past substance use and substance treatment. We've done that there, so you can just cast your mind back. And the medical conditions or complications. In a treatment setting like ours, of course, you must be able to provide medical services, psychiatric services, and so many other services there. So you watch out for medical conditions and you treat them, and psychiatric comorbidities or disorder, you treat them, and so many other things. Emotional, behavioral, and cognitive status. So it's really comprehensive, particularly when they are in middle age and to old age. A lot of co-occurring disorder come, especially physical disorder. So you cannot treat the substance use disorder independently of other co-occurring disorder because you're dealing with the same client. So you have to, and you're looking at his well-being, and you must treat everything in an integrated form. And the readiness to change. Is the client ready to change? And then potential for relapse or continued use. So you look at the stage of change and then you motivate them until you reach a stage of maintenance, and how you can help them with relapse prevention, and maybe they go out and join other self-help groups, and you continue that way, and look at what might make them relapse, or the things that are likely to precipitate a relapse in their life. You must be proactive, so and anticipate such things and work to mitigate such for the client. And then recovery environment. Where are you discharging the client? In fact, sometimes after treating the client, they're hesitant, being discharged because they say the environment is not good. So you have to work out to modify, to see how you can modify the environment for them. And that we need to do so that we don't waste our time in treatment. Here's a reflection for us. Apply some or all of these elements to your assessment of the clients. Write down how this assessment relates to case management. So when you do your assessment, please see how you can apply this in case management. We don't have the time to do all this exercise, but this is something I can do when you get back home. Go back to your ASI, study it again, and look at this module on case management, this course, and see how you can apply it. Planning identifies main problems and strengths, identifies client goals, determines intervention options for the client. So these are things that we have to look into. We have to plan. We don't just jump into it, but we collect information for a purpose, to plan for treatment and to give our client the best to be able to meet their goals and help them in their journey. A reflection: what were your client's main problems and strengths? That you can also do, as an exercise on your own. And what were your client's goals? What types of services could help these clients achieve those goals? So this is what you have to, when you do this and assessment and everything, and you plan, you have to look at this, the problems and then the strengths, and also leverage the strengths and what were your class goals. There are goals, then you break into objectives to be able to meet those goals. Recall what we did last week, and then the types of services, that will help your client, the ones that he likes, and then give them options, and so that they can choose the one they think that will best, meet their needs. Linkage and referral, critical part of case management. No setting provides all, very rare, So most will not provide also. You must be able to link up with other services, and that is function of case management. And the inter-program case management connects agencies, yes. And you must have a good working relationship, know what those agencies work, know their protocols and everything, what referral does, and so that when you are linking a client or you are referring a client to access such services, you know what to expect, and make things easy for the clients to be able to access such services. And then organizational boundaries, yes. All organizations have boundaries, and case managers move across boundaries to make connections. Yes, you must be able to connect with one service or the other, and you know what their boundaries are, you know how to negotiate, you know how to get into and procure those services for your own clients. And some agencies have rigid boundaries, whereas others are more flexible. Yes, the ones that are easier for you to purchase for your clients are the ones that we use, and ensure that they give what they purport to be doing to the client, and not just giving some services that might not be required, or doing something contrary to what they purport to be doing. And it's up to you to ensure that even as your client accesses services in other settings, you follow them up to ensure that they're getting what is desirable. Otherwise, they may become discouraged and say, but why was I referred to this place if this is what they will do to me? Why did they tell me beforehand? Why did they envisage such problems? So it's important for us. A reflection: what programs can provide the services you identify for your clients? Yes, well, you see, from the assessment, we're looking at many things. Now, after you do your treatment planning, you want to refer, then you're looking at what program can provide the services you identify for your clients. What do you know about each program and its boundaries? You must know the programs. You go first, find out about those programs and what it takes to refer a client, and what the client needs to be able to access or to get into such program or purchase such services. So you need to know, and you don't just jump or double into things that you don't know, that might be difficult for you or even for the client. How difficult is it to refer a client to the program? And if a program is not meeting your needs, you don't have to refer your clients. You can blacklist them and then go to another program. What kinds of experiences have your clients had there? When they come back, you need to monitor and find out what was your experience. Do you like the program? Did they meet your need or not? It's very key, so that you know what to do for subsequent clients. And if the need is not met, then you can maybe arrange for alternative services elsewhere. Is it easy or difficult to communicate with the program staff? Sometimes, some programs you find that I don't know. Some programs might just be difficult in the way they, communicate with their clients. It's more like a master-servant relationship. But in the treatment setting, for those of us who are in the field of HUD, it's not supposed to be so. It's like partnership, we work together. And for us, our government continues to emphasize on the minimum standards that were drafted by professionals and then the UTC. to meet international standards. They keep telling you that you must meet minimum standard, and from time to time they come to assess the programs and ask the clients, what their experience is in all programs and see how you are doing, whether you are keeping to minimum standards or not. So it's very important. Monitoring ensures that the client engages the services, follows the client's progress, identifies barriers to services, coordinates the services the client needs. You must be able to coordinate and make sure that the client is in treatment and is getting the services they need. Reflection: what difficulties might arise when coordinating services for your client? Yes, you must be able to envisage, anticipate what difficulties, and then you work to mitigate such difficulties for yourself and for the client too. And what barriers to monitoring can or did your client or a particular program present? You must be able to reflect on that. And in what ways was monitoring helpful or could have been helpful? So we need to do this, and that's why if we have a program that can get enough staff, like the office of a case manager, better, because the duty of a case manager are also very tasking. So you cannot be a therapist and do case management very effectively, except if you don't have many clients like us. We have many clients. Sometimes you have 40, 42, 45 clients, in a treatment setting. So how will you go to do case management for all those clients if you don't have dedicated people do certain things? So it's very important, that we monitor and that we learn from our monitoring to know where we need to make adjustments, in our own treatment plan or case management. Advocacy is a function and a principle, speaks out on issues of concern and applies influence. There are places or things that the client might not be able to do on his own, but because of your position and your influence, you are able to get things done for the client. As a staff of the university, I write, and the senior deliberates on some of the reports we write for clients, and then they're able to take some of them back, But the client will do that, nobody will listen to them. Nobody will listen to them when they want to go back to school. They just say that they are not serious people, they are not serious students. But you know the struggle, you know the difficulties. So you support them and you write, and you have to defend it. You even write for the criminal justice system or for the police. They come to investigate. You see whether what you wrote is correct, or maybe the client tried to bribe you to do many things, or you have something to cover up. You write many things, and then they come behind you to investigate, and then they put you in a corner and start interrogating you for writing such, supporting your client or, in the recovery process. So it is not an easy job, but if you are motivated and you love the job, you have passion for it, then you have to do that for the sake of the client. And if that's our profession, we should be able to advocate for our clients. And then try to apply the influence that we can to get this done for our clients. Reflection: in what way did you need to advocate for your clients? That we have, I think one or two people have actually mentioned how they were able to advocate for their clients. How might advocating have made a difference for your clients? Yes, there are some clients that maybe we fail to advocate for, and then they run into difficulties or problems. But if we had advocated for them truly, maybe they wouldn't have gotten into such a difficulty. This is a small group exercise. It's supposed to form like small groups, and then maybe read a case study in the resource page 2.1. Prepare a presentation demonstrating how each of the 5 functions might apply: assessment, planning, linkage, monitoring, and advocacy. So I think we'll do that in our LMS so that we can apply what we have been talking about to this assignment. And try to read your resource page, as I keep telling you. There's so much material. They are condensed and concise for you to help you to be able to understand what we've been doing so far. And you will need to go and practice this and maybe train other people. If you don't do that, you'll not be conversant with it. So we keep doing it repeatedly so that we understand it properly. The instructions are usually very clear, and when you do it, you become very conversant with it, and it helps you. review and evaluation, thoughts on post-its, daily evaluation, and have a good evidence. Well, this is where we are supposed to end, but we'll leave time for questions now. And I think we have enough time. As Beatrice said, this module is a very short one, so we have time to ask questions about what we have said so far. So I welcome questions from participants. And I want to know your experiences in your various settings, how, what to do about case management. Do you have the office of case manager, or the different therapists serve as case managers for different clients? We want to know that, and how have you been able to use advocacy and also how you have been able to monitor your clients and reflect on so many things, and where you have to actually purchase services for clients in other organizations. What was the experience? So who would like to share with us, please? Participants, we have time now to share and to discuss. Hi, Jessica.
Yes, I don't see any hands raised at the moment.
Okay. Does anyone want to share with us their own experience in their places of work, on their treatment settings? Or is there anything you want to go back and do in your program when you leave? Let's hear from you about this case management.
Oh, Fatima has her hand raised.
Okay, Fatima, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, sir. During this discussion, now I learned that when we are doing case management, as a person in charge of substance use disorder or treatment personnel, you can even take your client to where the services is needed. But my problem now is that, how do you get the resources to do this? Are you going to charge the client for it? Because as somebody who is doing case management, you have to monitor, you have to evaluate, you have to arrange, make everything easy for your clients, even if it means you taking the client to where the service is needed, so that the client will not lose in transit, or you lose him, or he gets tired or frustrated. So in doing all this, do you charge the client for this? Is it your resources? How do you get the resources to carry out all this?
Well, thank you, Fatima. Thank you honestly for your enthusiasm and all your contributions so far. You make this program very lively for us. The thing is that it depends on your own setting. I don't know where where your budget comes from and your funding comes from, and how you draw your budget, so on and so forth. I tell you, we are primarily my colleagues and myself, are primarily university staff who are addiction specialists. But I tell you, government told us they had no money for this HCD to set up a place for us. They were resource constrained. Each time you go, they say, okay, next year we'll build into a budget. In the next year's budget, we make sure we make arrangement for you, and we'll get a place for you to do the same. But we kept struggling. I tell you, for 10 years, Fatima, nothing came out of it. What we set up is a non-governmental organization with the permission of government, as part of our community service. Our university demands that every academic must be able to do, carry out community service. And it's part of your assessment and promotion. So we decided with our colleagues that we're going to set up this to practice, at this addiction medicine, because we're not happy with what's going on. So they gave us the permission. And I tell you, as soon as we conceived the idea, whatever, many people came to our aid. And before you knew it, we had a treatment center, in place. So and since it's non-profit, when clients come, we charge them minimally. Some of them, of course, they get the services free of charge. If they're indigent, they get everything, whether it's admission, drug, whatever, they get it free of charge. But for those who have, they have to pay to be able to take care of those who don't have. That is our own philosophy in running this, and then the little maybe grant or contribution you get from some other quarter. So we build this into the treatment program for our advocacy and whatever case management. Once you have to access a service, the case manager is able to take you there. It may be maybe purchasing, like for instance, vocational training, or you are even going to school to advocate, or you want to be fighting for some specialist care. It may even be surgery, whatever. Our case managers go with them, and sometimes some of them who have gone out of school and at least they want to write matriculation exam in other states, the JAM, as a Nigerian, our case managers go with them to the venue of exam, stay with them, they write the exam and bring them back. So we're able to provide services, and that's why we get several people coming, to the treatment center. I recall one of our clients, in fact, he got one of the best results in one of the matriculation exams in university. We had to celebrate, as a treatment setting for him. So you do that. You have to go out of your way. If you're waiting for budget for this work that is so stigmatized and looked down upon by people in this culture, I'm not sure you get it, Fatima. But you have to go out of your way to be able to look for other sources to get funding to help your class. Since this is the job you love doing, that is what we are doing with my colleagues. Thank you. I don't know whether it makes sense to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Moses?
Any other question? Yes, please.
I actually want to share something that comes to my mind when I think about case management.
Please go ahead. We have 2 more minutes, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I think for many of us who are working in the university, I noted in my university we have these students who are using substances, and sometimes as their teaching staff or as their lecturers and professors, you actually detect something is wrong because they are failing in class, missing to submit assignments, they are not attending class. And I've actually realized that we can actually use where we link them up with the various services available in our university so that they can get supported. Actually, just this week alone, I have been working with a postgraduate student who has been locked up in our country, and they are from another country, and they didn't travel out because there were no flights to their countries, and they have a chronic illness. And now suddenly they can't go back home. The disease is recurring, and they were very distressed. And we linked them up with the director of wellness services, who linked them up with the chaplain, who linked them up with the international program. And I have been following up with those directorates and centers of the university to ensure their needs are being met. So I've realized that case management is something we can practice at many levels, even in our institutions as professors. You see this student who's not doing well, you call them and realize they have an SUD problem. Link them up with, if you have any center that supports that in your university. Sometimes they have a family issue, link them up with the counselor. Sometimes they have a health issue, link them up with the health service if you have the services. So just in our own universities, we require a lot of case management of our own students as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that sharing. In fact, for those of us who are in resource-constrained countries like mine, you just have to be creative, innovative, and you have to just go out of your way to help your clients. If you wait for budget from government till the kingdom come, you will not get anything done. That's my own experience. Thank you. So, Jessica, our time is up. I'll hand over to you. Thank you, participants.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us on our first day of using WebEx instead of Zoom. I think you all did very well. I was actually really surprised we didn't have more issues with people figuring out the new system. So nice little round of applause for you guys. I think that's all we have for tonight, unless Beatrice or Moses have any more announcements to make.
And please, Kim complains when she wanted a survey. I'll have people who are doing the LMS, but very few people answered. Please do your best to answer any. Do your pre-test, your post-test, and also if there is Kim, if Kim wants to know anything about how you are finding the program, please respond to such a survey so that it will help to make it the learning better for all of us and subsequent ones. Thank you very much.
right, Beatrice, do you have anything else?
Yes, I was trying to speak and I had muted myself. Just to remind us, this curriculum is days, so we end tomorrow. We'll have 1 day in between, and then curriculum UTC 7 is 2 days as well. So we shall do it on Thursday and Friday, and then we shall have a break in the weekend, and then the whole of next week we shall do UTC 8, which is a big curriculum. And then, of course, the week after we shall do about a day or so of implementation. So thank you for that, Jessica.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.